What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RiOT Comedy Podcast presented by RiOT. Shout out to RiOT Water, keeping us healthy and hydrated.
RiOT.
Today, we got a little something special for you guys. We're going to break the mold a little bit. We're going to do a breakdown. We're going to do the top 5 players at each position in NBA history, who we would take, who we would want on our team, start our franchise with, carry us.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's get into it.
It's kind of however you want to judge it. You know, I base my list off of greatness and who I would probably want. So at the end of the day, I think we can get busy with this, though. So I'll let you do your list first. We'll start off with point guard. We'll do it together, and we'll kind of go over that.
Point guards.
So I think, who do you have as number 1?
Chef Curry.
Okay. I have Magic.
I think, I think when you talk about like greatness, when you talk about greatness and just like the resume and stuff, it's probably Magic. I mean, this dude went to 9 finals, won 5, 3 MVPs, 3 finals MVPs. I mean, that resume Steph can't compete with. He's got one less championship, 2 less finals MVPs, 1 less league MVP. That's a huge gap. That's a huge gap when you're talking about a resume. But for me,
not when you flip the head.
Kareem.
Though, like awards though. Like when you look at awards though, it's like, oh, you have this many more awards, but like Steph's also the greatest shooter of all time. Like certain things can help offset things, and I ain't mad at it.
Magic's the greatest passer of all time.
He is. I mean, I have Magic as number 1.
And I think
they're interchangeable.
Like I agree. So when I actually put together a list of the greatest players of all time, just greatness only, Magic is ahead of Steph. But I also got to factor in, like, if I'm drafting a team, if all the players in NBA history are available to draft and Magic and Curry are both on the board, I'm taking Curry and I'm not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, see, that's how I made my decision. Was I would take Magic Johnson. I'll take the 6'9" point guard who fucking floats around the NBA court effortlessly. I'll take that. But
I ain't mad at that.
I think this is the only category where you have a 1A and 1B. Out of all the positions, this is the only one that you have a 1A and 1B. And I completely understand why you would switch them around. Maybe center, you can make a case for a 1A, 1B, but not like point guard.
I've never seen. Now, granted, I was born in 1990. I grew up in the Jordan era, but I don't remember, like, when you're 8 years old and younger, you don't actually understand what you're watching. So I'll say post Michael Jordan era, I've never seen a player as feared as Steph Curry.
No, definitely not.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen, every time someone puts up a shot, everybody on the opposing team and all their fans are holding their breath. Like,
yeah, because it usually goes in. It's wild shit.
Fear factor. I got to put Steph number 1.
I ain't mad at it.
So those two are interchangeable.
Yep. And then 3 is obvious, right?
3 is obvious. We got to go with Isaiah Thomas, right? That's
for
the
sure.
answer.
For sure.
I think those are the top 3 always. Like, when you talk about leadership, tenacity, intangibles, like, Zeke is tough to get with in the things that don't show up in the stat sheet, man.
Yes, correct. So who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I got Jerry West. And then I got Jason Kidd at number 5. That's who I would take. I would take Jason Kidd over every point guard that I have watched play who's not named Steph Curry. I would take him over Chris Paul, Steve Nash, all these dudes.
Yes. So my list,
for me, it's a no-brainer.
So my number 4 is Big O. I got Oscar Robertson at 4. And I feel like you might have forgot about him, and that's why you didn't make your list.
I did.
Because I have him at 4, and I got Jerry West at 5. So I got Big O at 4. I almost forgot about him because he's like, for some reason, he's like the most forgot about NBA legend, it seems like. It's really weird that he's like so consistently forgotten about. But yeah, I got Big O at 4.
Blame Russell. Blame Russell Westbrook.
No shit, right? Like that hurt his legacy for sure.
Because for 40, 50 years, when the Big O was the only dude to average a triple-double for a season, it was like, this is never going to be done.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. And then Russ just came through and smashed it.
Yeah, he made it clockwork, and that's not good. Like, then everybody thought Russ sucked at basketball all of a sudden, which was really weird. But yeah, I mean, I got
public sentiment can change.
So now that you hear Big O's name, and because I got Big O at 4, Jerry West at 5, I almost switched those two, but I just was like, okay, I'm gonna roll with this. Do you want to put Big O on your list? Or are you gonna rock and roll with what you got? Which I ain't mad at. I also think Big O is kind of overrated when it comes to certain aspects too. So
I think I would have to put Big O on my list. I think I'd have to, as much as I hate to bump Kid, because again, he's outside of Steph, he's the next best point guard I've ever watched, and for me, it's not close. Like,
it's definitely not close, and I don't think people realize, like, when Jason Kidd retired, he was like number 2 in 3-pointers made all time. I think he was number 3 in assists behind Magic and Jerry. I think and then, like, I mean, he was finishing top 5. He
was way up high on all the lists. All the
steals.
Lists.
He was high on steals, assists, points, not points, but 3-pointers made. Like, he balled out. He played the position well. So
absolutely, and I think most importantly, like these players that we've watched play in our lifetimes, like we have the eye test for these guys. Like, yeah, we can look at like a few old games from these other dudes and see highlights and this and that, but it's not the same as watching it live. Like, eye test is like the way Jason Kidd could control a game. This man was out here playing chess.
Well, it's interesting that
the rest of these other dudes playing checkers.
Point guard didn't make anybody's list. Chris Paul did not make. I just think it's interesting.
Do you?
I do. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
It's like,
go ahead.
To me, it's not interesting. It's like he's not as good as Jason Kidd or Steph Curry, and he's not as good as the legends we mentioned.
I mean, he's a baller.
Now, he's right outside of that.
Like, Chris Paul's absolutely a baller, though. I'm just surprised.
For sure.
Because I think if you paneled like 10 people who like talk about the NBA and you told them to name their top 5 point guards, I think that Chris Paul would come in at number 5 on a bunch of lists. That's the only reason I say that.
I think he would too. I think he would too. But okay, so let's obviously he ain't in the conversation with Magic and Curry. Like, disqualified. Like, he's not top 2. He's not even in the conversation.
No, he can't sniff
Nobody is except those guys. Honestly, like Zeke, like this dude won back-to-back championships, went to 3 in a row, and probably would have beat the Lakers without that phantom call. Or no, that was the year he got hurt.
Yeah.
But and then it's like, okay, so now we're doing. He's not on Jerry West and Big O's level when it comes to like the totality of a greatness of a career. Both have insane stats and championships, so he's not passing those guys. That's 5 right there. So
no,
now
I agree.
It's like you can,
I just thought it was. I just liked it.
Yeah. Now it's like, when you think about where does he's in that Jason Kidd, Steve Nash mix.
Based on what we're saying right now, then like both of us would probably have Jason Kidd at 6, and then maybe Chris Paul 7 or 8. It's just interesting.
For sure, absolutely.
Which I ain't mad at. Like I think he deserves it.
He's right outside that. He's right outside that.
Shooting guards.
All right.
Top 3 should be no debate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone in the whole on planet Earth is in agreement that it's MJ and then Kobe and then Dwayne Wade, right? That's who your top 3 is. It's
that every time.
Until I die. every time.
Until I die.
Now is where it gets interesting.
Who do you have?
Who do you got for number 4?
My 4, I got George. I got Iceman, dog. I got George Gervin. There is
That's a solid pick. I'm not mad at it.
There's almost no, like, of course, like those 3 guys, but like even like building a team. Like, this is where my heart got me a little bit, because like when I would like, if I was to build a team, and obviously if I don't get like Kobe or Michael Jordan, like I'd be tempted to take him almost even over Dwayne Wade. Like, his greatness, and he's not better than him, but like his ability to put the ball in the basket is second to none. I've know a ton about George Gervin. He's an interesting guy, and his numbers are insane. Like, the only thing I had a debate between here, like George Gervin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, just adding on to what you were saying. That
George Gervin was always going to make my list.
Titles, super.
Yeah, dude. George Gervin was always going to make my list. It just depended if I was going to put him at 4 or 5. Like, and honestly, like the big decision that I had to make here actually was, I almost put Clyde Drexler over George Gervin.
That's who I got at my 4 was Clyde.
That was the guy because I have Allen Iverson at 5. And Allen Iverson was almost at my 4, and honestly, I'm tempted to slide him back into 4 and put George Gervin at 5. But Clyde Drexler was the player that I left off my list that was really, really difficult to do. I didn't consider James Harden in the mix. Is James Harden your 5? Is he your 5th greatest shooting guard? Do you have him at your 5?
I bumped James Harden for Allen Iverson based on who I would rather have on my team.
Gotcha. Yeah, because greatness level wise, I mean, but they both only have one MVP. James Harden's never been to sorry, James Harden's been to a finals, but he's never led a team to an NBA finals.
Right.
Allen Iverson took scrubs. I don't want to say scrubs, but when you look at all-time NBA teams to make the finals, they're not super good.
No, absolutely not. It would be a fun 7-game series between them and the 07 Cavs.
And that's why it was hard for me to leave Clyde Drexler off, because dude has a championship. Dude took the Trailblazers to the finals.
Twice.
And I'm still tempted to take George Gervin off my list, but that's who I put on my list. It hurt my heart to leave Clyde Drexler off because I think he deserves a spot, but I couldn't remove Allen Iverson just because Allen Iverson's a generation. Allen Iverson, when we were kids.
How you feel about leaving off Drexler is how I was whenever you mentioned Iceman. It's damn, how did I leave Iceman off the list? But it's the first jersey I ever had was a Michael Jordan jersey, and the second jersey I ever had was Allen Iverson. This dude was my very favorite player in the post-Jordan era when I was growing up.
He's everybody's favorite player in the post-Jordan era. Is the crazy
everybody's
thing.
favorite player.
He changed the way.
When I was in junior high. When I was in junior high, nobody gave a shit about Michael Jordan's tennis shoes. Nobody gave a shit about
the answers.
Them. If you didn't have the new Iversons, fuck you doing with your life, dog? We don't care what you got on your feet. You might as well be rocking the Payless. Your Jordans ain't shit right now.
My son
that's how much of a phenomenon Allen Iverson was.
My son,
he does. That's all he's got. I saw the questions last time I was at your house.
My son has a pair of Allen Iverson shoes, dog. Everybody, that also needs to come into account. It's one of the reasons why Steph Curry is so great is because he there was an aura around him. He changed the way the game was played.
Absolutely.
Allen Iverson changed the way people dressed, acted, hung out. He was a brand. It's an insane thing. And Allen Iverson is also known for pound the best basketball player ever. Yeah. So, which is what people say. He's not, obviously not, but based on who he is, it's because people love him so much. People will say anything about Allen Iverson to make him greater, and that's a level of greatness in itself. And the next position, small forward, this was the most interesting position for me. This was the one that I was most excited to get into, and this is the one that I was really curious with because I didn't know who to put at my 5, and I kind of just threw somebody in at the 5, the number 5 slot. So I'll read you my list in order. So obviously LeBron number 1. I got Larry Bird number 2. I got Dr. J number 3. I have Kevin Durant.
That's the correct top 3. I don't think there is any other top 3. That's the order.
I don't care if you want to put Kevin Durant in your top 3 over Dr. J. I'm okay with it. I wouldn't, but I'm okay with it. And then
I got a problem with it.
Yeah, I got KD at 4. And then the 5th guy, I didn't know who to put there. I damn near slid Paul Pierce in there. I almost slid Kawhi Leonard in there. This is how confused I was. And I ended up going with Elgin Baylor. I ended up choosing Elgin Baylor as my number 5 slot.
Okay.
John Havlicek also almost made it, and I couldn't give it to him because you missed too many shots. Those are great picks. But I have Elgin Baylor at 5.
Yeah, this is the interesting list. I think for me, I gotta put. Obviously, LeBron is number 1. Larry is obviously number 2. Nobody else should be in that conversation with the top 2 guys. Larry Bird, to me, the only person in the NBA history who has a more impressive resume than Larry Bird is Michael Jordan. And I base it on this. What did you walk into, and what did you do with that? Larry Bird, the Celtics won 20 games before he got there. His rookie season, they won 60, and then the next season, all he got added to his squad was Robert Parrish and a rookie Kevin McHale, and he won the fucking championship.
Yep.
That's crazy shit to happen. Nobody did that.
Mm-mm.
So Larry's number
D-Wade.
2, and Larry's
Go
what? D-Wade what?
D-Wade went on to a squad in 3rd year and won a championship and had his roster kind of shuffled. But Shaq's not a rookie, so I get it.
With a Shaq, and it wasn't Lakers Shaq, but Shaq was still a bad motherfucker then. He had Alonzo Mourning. That team was deep. James Posey, that team was fucking
old Gary
good.
Payton, white chocolate, but no, not the same. Sorry, go ahead.
Not the same. But anyway, so Doctor's number 3. This dude went to the finals like 4 times. I know he didn't win until Moses got there, but this dude was a badass dude.
Yeah,
and
dude.
So he's my number 3. This is where I feel like it gets interesting, and you're probably going to criticize my number 4 pick.
It better not be fucking Scottie Pippen.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is what I based this pick off. So this is the small forward position got hard. So for me, it came down to
tell me who it is.
At their best, who would I take?
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, God damn.
Oh. Kawhi Leonard, baby.
Oh.
Kawhi
over Kevin Durant.
Kawhi Leonard, at his best, is a better all-around basketball player than Kevin Durant.
No, stop. Kawhi Leonard has some of the most bunk championships in NBA. I'll give him the first championship that he won, getting 18 points a game in the finals and winning a finals MVP for no reason. Kudos to you, dog. Fucking hooray for you. Like, good for you. That Toronto Raptors finals that he won, you did a great job getting him there. I'm not going to knock you. But even if Kevin Durant goes down and Klay Thompson is healthy, the Raptors probably still lose that series. And if they play a healthy Warriors team, they get their fucking dicks kicked in, literally. So, like, and I can't knock him because he has the championship.
Nobody is beating those Warriors teams in NBA history. No one's beating those dudes. So here's the thing.
He has a finals MVP
in 2017
and a defensive player of the year award, which is impressive.
This is why I put Kawhi over. This is why I put Kawhi at my number 4. Because in 2017, the year that Kawhi got hurt when Zaza injured him on purpose and put his foot under him, the Spurs were up
67 games,
double digits in that game. They won 67 games. Kawhi balled out. The Spurs were winning that game 1, and Kawhi was the best player on the floor by far. And then he gets hurt. And then in 2019, even what Kawhi did to get through the East, and then the way he balled out in the finals,
impressive.
That season is more impressive than anything Kevin Durant has ever done in his career.
I ain't mad at it. Like I told you, like Kawhi almost made my number 5 spot. Like he really did. Like, and if Kawhi had a couple,
is Kevin Durant more talented? Absolutely. Kevin Durant's more talented, and he's higher on the all-time great list because Kawhi has spent so much time injured. But at their best, I'm taking Kawhi.
And I'm not mad at it because Kawhi almost made my 5 spot. The only reason that he didn't is I was like, dog, you have less career points than Tobias Harris, dog. Like I can't in good faith put you on this list with cats like Elgin Baylor. You know, like if you ain't like in my personal opinion, dog, if you ain't in here scoring 20,000 career points, dog, it's gonna be really hard to make my list on any of these fucking categories. Like it's gonna be almost.
I think
impossible.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I just had to go with what was like who's the best at their best.
And I'm not mad at it either.
My number 5.
And there's also players that miss some of these lists because I didn't really know how to even put them in a position. Like, what position is Giannis? Power forward?
Well, gotta be. I don't think Giannis makes any of these lists. Well, you know what? If you put him at the power forward position, I think he can be placed in the top 5.
Nah, he can sniff it, but he can't make. Not yet. Maybe. I mean, this dude got a Defensive Player of the Year award, a Finals MVP, and a League MVP. That's very select company. I think there's only 2 other guys that have them, and it's Magic. And of course, it's fucking Hakeem Olajuwon.
He balled out in the finals that he played in.
So who do you have at your 5? Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant's my number 5.
But so he better at least make your top 5 small forwards. Otherwise, like that's some hater ass shit. Like I don't like him. Hey, I don't like what Kevin Durant did to the NBA.
This list isn't just your greatness. Like this, I'm not talking about the greatest players because then Kevin Durant would be number 4.
Well, I just wanted him to make your top 5.
He'd be ahead of Kawhi on that.
He would just have to make your top 5. Like that's all that I ask is that he's in your top 5. Like there's because as soon as you listen quiet for him, I'm like, who the fuck had like Kevin Durant has to be 5. How'd you feel about my Elgin Baylor pick at 5?
I'm not mad at it. And again, Kevin Durant is a more talented basketball player than Kawhi. He has more talent. He's just, you know.
I'm not mad at it. Because if I had Kawhi for a season,
Kawhi did more impressive things.
I agree. I'm not mad at it at all, dude. Like I'm super cool with that answer. I almost had Kawhi at my 5, like, because I was like, damn, like I'd pick this dude fucking super fast if you drafted the NBA all time. Like I'm picking this dude fast. But I also respect Elgin Baylor because he smoked cigarettes and fucking dropped 70 points in an NBA basketball game while smoking cigarettes. So as an old fan of cigarettes, I don't smoke them anymore, but as an old fan, I got to show a little bit of love and respect to that because that's fucking boss.
It's just crazy. Like all the old heads, like from like if you played sports, no matter what sport you played, whether football, baseball, basketball, all these fools between the 50s and 60s and early 70s was all smoking cigarettes in the locker room.
At halftime,
before, after, and during games.
That's whenever they won.
Go in the locker room at halftime, have a cigarette.
That's whenever the Lakers finally won the championship, is what Jerry West said, is Elgin Baylor retired and they quit smoking cigarettes in the locker room, and fucking all of a sudden, it was a little bit better. Moving to the power forward position, I would be shocked if our power forwards aren't the same here. The order is probably be different, but I'd be shocked if our power forwards aren't the same. I think number 1 is Tim Duncan. I think that we can agree on that. Yeah. If you don't have Tim Duncan at your 1, you're a fucking asshole. Number 2 is interesting. I have Karl Malone at my number 2. I honestly didn't want to put him there. Like, that's the thing about Karl Malone, is I didn't want to put him there. Like, I don't respect him a ton, but like, dude's got
he scored so many points. You had to put him
35,000 or some shit, 32,000.
Yeah, I think he's got 36.
He had the second most.
He's got 36.
Yeah, he got 36,000. Yeah, he's third most, obviously, but
yeah. Kareem had 38, and then 36, and then Kobe had 33. That was.
And he won an MVP award at like fucking 34, 36. Yeah, like oldest MVP ever, 36,000 points. This dude was getting it in for like 25 plus points a game for like fucking 13 or 14 years straight, something wild. So I think I would have looked up stats and done more research into these when it took me about 3 minutes to pick all these picks, but I have to put him at 2. Like, I can't disrespect this guy. Like, the numbers speak for themselves. I always say that numbers are sometimes overrated, but dog, when you getting it in like this motherfucker, dog, like I had to show him some love, dog. I didn't have a choice. You got KG at 2?
I think that's fair. Kevin Garnett's my number 2.
Yeah.
And again, that's because so like, yeah, I think if I need a power forward, the only person I'm taking over him is Tim Duncan. And depending on the way my team is constructed, I might rather have Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, I get it. I do, man. I think KG's awesome. I would also take Kevin Garnett over Karl Malone, but for me, it was just I just couldn't disrespect. I couldn't disrespect the numbers, dog. I just couldn't do it. I usually do. And in this regard, I couldn't do it because KG's my 3rd. Power forward's a tough position to pick. There's a lot of fucking good power forwards in NBA history.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Like, because my 3rd is KG, my number 4 is Chuck. I put Chuck at 4, even without championships. I got 3. And I ain't mad at that, dog. Like, Chuck's awesome. Chuck's a baller. Yeah, but sometimes I want to leave Chuck off the list. I'm love-hate Chuck. I love him as a commentator, and I love Chuck, and like I would love to fucking work with him in the future. But like sometimes I look at shit he's done, and I'm just like, man, like you probably could have done a little bit more.
Yeah, dude.
And then there's cats like Dirk. Like I have Dirk at 5, right? Because Dirk has a Finals MVP. Dirk has 30,000 points. But like, I watched Dirk play his whole entire career, and I think Dirk's a baller. Like I love Dirk. You know me. I had Dirk jersey as a kid. I loved Dirk, loved him. But then there's times whenever I watch his whole career play, and I'm like, there's got to be a 5th fucking power forward out there better than Dirk, right? That's how I feel sometimes. But like, obviously not, because I love his guts, and he has. But like, there's got to be somebody, right? Like it's like Kevin McHale even or somebody, but.
Not Kevin McHale, absolutely not. No way.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be somebody out there.
Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't mad at that. Like, and that's why I was asking, because I didn't know, because I was like, well, Giannis is definitely listed as a power forward, and I kind of wanted to remove Dirk for Giannis. I did, and then I'm like, well, shit, I watching Giannis collapse in the playoffs with better teams.
We watched Dirk do it too. Hey.
No, you haven't.
Dirk lost to an 8 seed. Dirk lost to an 8 seed.
I don't give a shit. He lost. What? He lost to a better, more athletic basketball team when he was the 1 seed and they were the 8 seed. If you looked at those two teams stacked up, I would be willing to bet that 3 out of the fucking 4 best players on the court played for the Warriors in that series. Like, if you actually look at it, like Dirk was so good that his team was just winning games. Like, I don't want to hear Michael Finley and Jason Terry and all these guys like. And I also watched Dirk complete the single hardest road to an NBA Finals and win it ever. That's why Dirk had to make my list, because like you beat Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Greg Oden, and then you went out and you beat OKC, and then not in this order, and then you beat Kobe and Powell, and then you beat the LeBron Heat, and you were the only All-Star on your team.
Bad dude. That's why I got Dirk at number 4. I got him ahead of the Mailman. The Mailman's I put him at 5.
Yeah, and I'm okay if you want to remove Mailman altogether and put Giannis on. Like that's okay too. Like the power forward position is difficult.
Yeah.
And because Giannis,
the only thing we know is that Tim is number 1, and it's undebatable. And then it's like however you like to evaluate the game, whoever you want to put there.
Man, I would like to put Giannis in my top 5 list for power forwards, just because like that dude's a bad motherfucker, but can't shoot, can't pass, can barely dribble, just a freak of nature out there, which is okay. Like that's okay.
Got 2 MVPs and Defensive Player of the Year,
and a Finals MVP.
So, yeah, he's a bad dude.
But I'd be willing to bet a lot of money.
That was a tough one too.
I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that Giannis never wins another championship ever again.
Ain't no way he's gonna win another championship again. I've been trying to tell you and our other brother for years that Giannis never is, never was, and never will be the best player in the NBA.
So how do you put him on the top 5 fucking power forward list if we say, because like if you pair up,
Kevin Garnett was never the best player in the NBA. Dirk was never the best player in the NBA. Chuck was never the best player in the NBA. None of these guys were ever the best player in the NBA except Tim Duncan. He's the only one that ever was.
If you give Kevin Garnett, Chris Middleton in his prime, Drew Holiday in his prime, I think that we have a much. If you give Kevin Garnett those guys, he's been to the finals more than once, I promise, and he definitely has fucking all the accolades that this dude has for sure. Well, actually, it's not fair to say because
that's why Kevin Garnett's my number 2.
KG's a far better basketball player than Giannis. He's far better.
Absolutely. I'm not denying that at all.
Well, it's not fair. But like Dirk, give Dirk 2 other fucking All-Stars and see what he does. Trash and cats. Trash and cats. So we can leave it there. We're gonna move on up, I should say, to the centers. Top 5 center list. I think the top 5 center list. I think the 5 greatest centers of all time are very solidified in my personal opinion. It's just what order you want to put them in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the only guy that's not on my list that I'm like, I'd like to put him there, but obviously you can't, is, in my personal opinion, like David Robinson is a bad motherfucker, but he can't make the list. So it doesn't
that's how I feel about Moses Malone. I wanted to put him on the list so bad.
Moses almost went over Bill Russell for me.
Same. Moses is number 6 for me, and it's like he's ahead.
Me too.
Like David Robinson is probably next, but like Moses Malone is a bad dude. He's got 3 MVPs. He not only like this dude gave Kareem the fucking business, dog, in 1983, but also 1981 and 1983 gave Kareem the fucking business, dog. Like Kareem wanted no parts of this dude.
And I had Moses Malone at number 6 as well. Like I'm an Admiral fan, so I wanted him on the list. But like I said, he can't make it. But I also had Moses at 6, and he almost kicked Bill Russell off the list. But Bill Russell has 11 championships, and I know there was only like 12 teams back then or whatever. And you guys say all the talented players were on the Celtics, whatever. At the end of the day, though, like greatness is greatness, but that's the thing. That's why Bill Russell's 5 on my list. Like most people put him like top 10 players of all time list, and he does not make my top 10 players of all time list. Doesn't even sniff it. And that's the thing about Moses Malone. And the more that we talk about it, the more I want to put Moses on my list and kick Bill Russell off.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
I'm gonna do it.
So
I'm gonna do it right now. Fuck it. I'm doing it. Dude,
I love Moses Malone. He's
me
a
too,
bad
dog.
Dude.
I'm a big fan.
The top 5, I got Shaq number 1.
Me too.
I'm sure you do too. And that is like, Kareem has probably like he's regarded as the greatest center of all time. But who do you really want? Who are you drafting if both these guys are available?
Right.
You want the skinny dude or the fucking Diesel?
Everybody wants the Diesel. Anybody who says that they're going to take Kareem
Diesel
over him will prepare to watch your center get facialed all day.
Absolutely. Kareem isn't. He's like an inch taller than Shaq probably. If you're going to be as skinny of a frame as Kareem has, I need you to be 7'4" like Wemby for me to even consider taking you over Shaq.
Well, that's the interesting thing is everybody's going to be like, well, Shaq can't defend the hook shot. But also, like, I think people need to look at basketball. There's more to basketball than, like, putting the ball in the rim, right? So let's say that you're a home team, right? And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hits a hook shot over somebody. The crowd's like, okay, cool. Shaq fucking facials somebody. Like, the crowd is hype. We're in this motherfucker. Like, the whole team just liked what they saw. Momentum has shifted. Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
so
hell yeah.
There's something to be said for that shit too, dog. Like, and me personally, I'm a big Shaq. I think Shaq's the greatest. I think Shaq makes my top 5 players of all time list. I'm a huge Diesel fan.
Absolutely.
If I was drafting if I was drafting in NBA history, I would take Shaq number 2. Like, that's who I take number 2 is Shaquille O'Neal. Every time I take him over Bron, I take him over Kobe. The only player that I draft number 1 instead of him is Michael Jordan. That is it. And that's just because Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan.
That's super fair.
And I think that he's going to get me a ring. I feel confident that this motherfucker going to get that Michael Jordan going to win me a goddamn ring. So, but I feel the same way about
100%.
Shaq. And I would be tempted to take Shaq number 1 overall because I'll take Orlando Shaq damn near number 1, and I'll damn near take Lakers Shaq number 2. Like, I want the athletic Shaq, and then I want fat Shaq, who's just a brick house of a man, facialing everybody, dog. Like, not, that's how good Shaq is, that he has 2 different body types, and they should go maybe number 1 and number 2 ever. So
for sure, I'd rather have the Lakers Shaq because he still had enough athleticism to run up and down the floor, but he was so large, like just nobody could do anything with him. So like you even look at like 1995 finals, or you got Orlando Shaq versus Hakeem. Orlando Shaq put up numbers, but he wasn't out there dominating Hakeem. Now you take like 2001, 2002 Shaq. I'll take him over 95 Hakeem any day of the week. I would expect him to fucking manhandle him like he did everybody else.
I need like 96 Shaq at my power forward, and then like 2003 Shaq at my center. That's what I'm looking for.
Dog.
I give y'all motherfuckers business then. And then,
absolutely.
So number 2, do you have Kareem, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I got Kareem at number 2.
Yeah. Fair. Very fair. That's where he should be. That's where he deserves to be. He actually probably deserves to be number 1. But I will say this, though, that number 2 was a conundrum for me. I feel like Wilt Chamberlain's the most slept on NBA basketball player of all time. And I feel like it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
I feel
like he's the only guy from back then that you can drop in the league right now. No training, no catching up to speed, no nothing. And I'm a fucking top 10 player in the league. Right out the gate. Immediately. Maybe even top 5. Like, that's how good Wilt Chamberlain is, and I don't think there's a single player that you can pinpoint from like 1970, let's just say 1980 and before, that you can drop in the league right now, besides Dr. J. And this motherfucker's a top 10 player in the league.
Kareem.
Immediately.
Kareem be a top 10 player in the league. Absolutely.
Yes, Kareem, yes. I forgot that Kareem played fucking 30 years in the NBA sometimes.
Yeah, his rookie year was like 1971, and then he won a championship in 1972.
Yeah,
so
for the Bucks.
Kareem, Dr. Wilt, drop those dudes in today's league. They're still top 10. They're still bad motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Wilt would be the best. Wilt and Kareem would both be the best center in the league right now if either one of them was in the league in their prime. Today, they'd be the best.
Yeah, they're better than Joker. They're better than Embiid. Like, they're better than both those dudes.
Absolutely.
And Joker would get his shit.
It's crazy.
Wilt eat that motherfucker up.
Absolutely, it's crazy how strong Wilt Chamberlain was, how much of a freak athlete he was. Like,
we've never even the closest thing we've even seen to it is Giannis since. But Giannis can't even jump high like that. Like, Wilt had like a 40-inch vertical. Like, Wilt Chamberlain, like
Wilt was graceful. Wilt was graceful
for sure.
In the air,
allure of he was Big 12 high jump champion 3 years in a row when he went to Kansas,
right?
And long jump.
Yeah,
like I won the long jump, and like I'm super fast. I fucking lay pipe to 20,000 women, and like anything that he says, you think it's possible. He's like fucking John Henry, dog, or Pecos Bill. Like, he's a fucking
real shit.
Folklore.
Real shit.
Like, this dude said that he was changing a tire on the side of the road, and a fucking puma attacked him, and he killed it with his bare hands, and I fucking believe him. I believe this dude.
Fucking Wilt, man.
Have you ever seen that video of Wilt Chamberlain in practice whenever he swishes that corner 3-pointer hook shot?
Yeah.
And he's like, bet you $5 I'll do it again. And somebody's like, I'll take that. And this motherfucker does it again. And I'm like, that's Wilt Chamberlain, dog. That's fucking Wilt, man.
Absolutely.
But I put Wilt at 3 on my list.
Yeah, I got Wilt at 3 too. It's like God put Wilt in the 60s on purpose because we wouldn't have appreciated him properly today.
Shit, man. I feel like we don't appreciate him because of that. I feel like you have all these people talking about like top 10 players of all time. Like, you can't put Wilt Chamberlain over Bill Russell because Bill Russell won all the championships.
Not for like later like history for sure, but as far as like if Wilt was in the league today, we wouldn't truly appreciate him in the present the way he should be appreciated, the way he was in the 60s.
No, we
Because
wouldn't.
in the 60s, they truly understood, like, this dude is a freak athlete. He's the greatest athlete of all time to ever probably walk this earth. It's Wilt fucking Chamberlain.
And still
we
is.
wouldn't give him his due today.
We
would. Still is. And we wouldn't.
And he still fucking is, man, which is crazy. But yeah, I got Wilt at 3.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah, same.
And then I got Olajuwon at 4.
He's fucking Wilt. Same. Wilt wrote the NBA record book. It's a Wilt Chamberlain autobiography.
He's on every fucking. He's on stupid lists. Like second most triple doubles in a season was Wilt Chamberlain until Russell Westbrook broke it. Like, who even fucking knew that Wilt Chamberlain had like 31 fucking triple doubles in a season? And Wilt Chamberlain led the league in assists for a season. Like, get the fuck out of here. Wilt Chamberlain's awesome. Love him.
But yeah, Hakeem number 4.
And I did it. I kicked Bill Russell out.
I kicked him out for Moses.
I kicked him out for Moses. I did it. I don't care. I did it.
I can't bump a guy with 11 championships for a guy who has 1 championship and he got it when he was part of a super team, a super duper team.
I know, but when you're talking about super duper teams, dog, like the Celtics were the only team back then that even made money. Like, you know, and now
they were a super duper team then.
I might put Bill Russell back on my list. I don't know yet.
But they weren't a super team until Russell got there. They were kind of just, in the mediocre shadows. And then
you say the same thing for the
Russell
Sixers.
There.
They weren't a super team until the Warriors weren't a super team until KD got there.
No, for sure. No, absolutely. That's what and you're right. That's what makes somebody a super team is whenever that next guy gets there. But so the Sixers went to the finals 3 times before Moses got there. They went in 1980 and 1982. He gets there in 83, championship. And also, when Moses got there, he won the MVP the year before. So he gets there in 83. 82, he won the league MVP. 81, the league MVP was Dr. J. So the last 2 league MVPs jumped on the same team. And then Moses won the MVP again, and they won the championship.
I get it, man. And that's I can't knock. I just don't want to knock people for who they played.
Bump a dude with 11.
I just don't want to knock you. I just don't want to knock players too hard for who they played with, because like when we talk about super teams, like Magic Johnson played on Magic Johnson got drafted into the very best situation you could ever get drafted into in NBA history.
Absolutely.
He played with Kareem.
And then a few years later, they drafted James Worthy because they got that pick off a trade a few years before.
And back then, there was no way to compete. Like, if you just happened to not draft a team as good as this team, like, free agency barely existed. Trades didn't happen like that. Like, and same thing with Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas played on one of the greatest fucking basketball teams ever. The Bad Boy Pistons are arguably the most talented NBA team to ever grace a hardwood. When you look at their team 1 through 5, they had fucking everybody. They made all the trades necessary. They had the 6th man of the year. They had one of the best players in the league. They had good bigs. They had fucking Mark Aguirre. Who was their fucking small forward on that team? Adrian Dantley?
They had a stacked ass team, and they did it without being too top heavy.
Adrian Dantley won the scoring title in Denver, and then they had Mark Aguirre, Isaiah Thomas, Dennis fucking Rodman, and then their bigs, fucking Rick Mahorn. And they were so good. They were so good that they were so good that they lost 2 of their players to the expansion draft and still went back to back. That's how good they were. Because Rick Mahorn went to the Timberwolves. That expansion
draft happened the year after they won their first championship, if I'm not mistaken. So they still won the next year losing 2 of their players. That's fucking crazy. You were only allowed to
protect 3 players back then, so they lost Rick Mahorn, who was their defensive anchor in the post, and I don't remember the other player that they lost. But you lost your best.
It was either Dantley or Aguirre, I believe. I think one of them dudes took. I think it was Dantley.
Dantley left because he was. That's right, but Dantley left because he was pissed off. I think because he didn't get the ball enough.
Is that what happened?
And we didn't even mention Joe Dumars. We didn't even mention him.
I don't remember. We'll have to go back and watch the 30 for 30 again.
We will. But we didn't even say Joe Dumars was on that team, and he totally was. So Isaiah, and everybody's like, oh, Isaiah Thomas is the only small guard to ever actually win championships like that because he played on the best fucking team in basketball by a lot. And I don't knock him for it.
Stacked ass team.
I don't knock him for it. So I don't want to knock all these other players.
Every team that's ever won a championship, has been super duper stacked for the most part.
Not the
except
Raptors.
for the Raptors weren't. The 90s Bulls weren't stacked like that. But that was an era where like none of the teams were stacked in the 90s because of the expansion draft.
Right.
And all these other, because there was like we got four new teams.
I feel like they were stacked.
I mean, yeah, they're like, yeah, but that's also part of because of how great Michael Jordan is. It's like, okay, everyone thinks LeBron plays on super teams, but like people even call those Cavs teams the second time LeBron his next tenure in Cleveland, like they'll call those teams a super team, but that's because LeBron is there. Without LeBron, that team sucks ass.
That team's definitely Kevin Love does not constitute a super team. Now,
right. That's why whenever this fool missed all those games, that team sucked ass and lost all the time, and they were like a little bit below 500.
The Heat,
yeah, those Bulls
Heat
teams
were a super team.
For sure. But like the 90s Bulls, like you got it was like they got their big three, right? They got MJ and Pippen, and then they had Horace Grant in the early years. But then it's like, who was their starting center? Bill Cartwright. They got like BJ Armstrong and shit. Yeah, these dudes are good, but they ain't no fucking super team.
No, I see what you're saying. They're not good like the Celtics and Lakers and Sixers of the 80s and.
Yeah, when we talk about, like, especially the Lakers, I mean, we talking about fucking Magic and Worthy and Kareem. Okay, those dudes are fucking all number one picks. Those dudes are fucking bad motherfuckers. And then you got, all the other dudes that, contribute, like Byron Scott and, whoever else is on that team. Bunch of Norm Nixon, all these fools that made all-star teams.
So, like, would you say that, like, I think the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, are they a super team?
No, absolutely not. To me, a super team is this. The only super team that I've ever seen, and I wouldn't even consider the Miami teams a super team, maybe 2013, that team only, once Ray Allen got there and a couple other pieces came in. But, like, to me, a super team is this. The KD Warriors are a super team. A super team is when you can lose your best player and you're still going to make a deep run and kind of be a contender. That's a super team. You take LeBron off those Heat teams, they ain't going nowhere.
Well, okay, so like the Celtics were definitely a super team with KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen.
For sure.
They were a super team.
Absolutely. They would have still contended to win the West.
Yeah, I mean, but super teams also, like, it's hard to constitute because, like, super teams are also, like, you're just so much better than everybody else, so there's no way that anybody can compete because you're that fucking... And Kobe and Shaq are almost so good together that, like, they almost make a super team on their own. You have two of arguably the top 5 greatest players of all time on one team in their prime.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of everybody.
Now throw another number 1 pick Hall of Famer on that team, and then you got the fucking Showtime Lakers. That's what those
but James Worthy wasn't good like other number 1 picks though. Like James Worthy's good, and James Worthy was a baller, and I don't want to knock him, but like he ain't good like Magic and Kareem are good.
No, for sure, but nobody is. I mean, again, those guys are 2 top 5 players of all time.
Right. Fair. Yeah. So no, for sure. So yeah, I mean the KD Warriors obviously super team. But that's it though. Like you're right though. Like the LeBron Cavs teams weren't super teams.
Not even close.
No, I would
2013 Miami, yeah, because the 2013 team for sure. Because if you take LeBron off that team, surely Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and the rest of that crew still win the East, right? Surely.
I don't know if they would win the East.
Who was competing in the East? The Knicks, the Carmelo Anthony Knicks. Who else?
I think the Pacers could get him. Pacers get him without LeBron for sure.
Maybe.
It feels too big of a hole. Like, I think the Pacers get him for sure. They're too big. They're too strong. But it didn't happen. So, But anyways, boy howdy, we've been on here for a long time. Leave the time. We need to get up off of here.
It takes a long time to analyze the greatest players of all time.
Hell yeah, it does. We got to write an episode and get shit out and do all kinds of fun stuff. So, but we're going to be back.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all rocking with us.
We play Serbia on Sunday at 8 a.m. my time, I think. It's like 9 a.m. my time, maybe 10 a.m. right around there. But we'll have a lot more for basketball coverage once the NBA Olympics starts going on. We'll see if they lose any of these games. Don't be shocked if they do.
Better not.
Nah, me neither. They're pissing me off. So, but we'll get into all that in a couple days, probably Monday, and we'll rock and roll.
I appreciate y'all rocking with us. Stay tuned for those cartoons. Got episodes dropping today, damn near every day this week for y'all.
For sure.
Keep rocking with us. Appreciate y'all.
Peace.